curiosity. We all have it, but do we ever really think about it? That pull, that urge to know more.
You know, it's funny. Curiosity, we think it's so basic, but it might actually be like a core drive, like hunger or thirst.
Really?
Yeah, and we've got research on this from looking at brains to watching how babies learn. We're even going to look at the tricky relationship between curiosity and trauma. Even simple creatures like worms, they show signs of wanting to find out information. So it makes you think, maybe curiosity is baked into life itself, you know?
Worms wanting to learn. That's wild. But okay, let's talk about us humans. I read about Harlow, you know, the monkey guy. His monkeys just had to figure things out, even if there wasn't like a reward.
Right. Harlow's work was huge. Like, back then, everyone thought we just did stuff for food or water, basic needs. But his monkeys, they were all about exploring, solving puzzles just because.
So like there's something satisfying in just figuring things out, even for monkeys.
Totally. And that's where the brain stuff comes in. fMRI studies, they show that when we're curious, certain parts of our brains light up, especially the caudate nucleus and the inferior frontal gyrus.
Okay, those are some big words. What do they actually do?
Well, think of them as like the reward centers of the brain. They're the ones that make us feel good when we get something right or experience something new. And here's the kicker. They light up even before we get the answer. Just thinking about new info is enough.
So like our brains are wired to want knowledge, and then they reward us for finding it. It's like when you finally solve a puzzle, you get that like, aha moment. It's almost like euphoric.
Exactly, and that feeling is key. Another part of the brain, the insula, it seems to track that surprise. It helps us update our view of the world. It's always checking what we expect versus what actually happens.
So curiosity isn't just about facts, it's also about that thrill of surprise.
Yeah, exactly. It all ties into this theory called the information gap theory by this guy, George Lowenstein. Basically, we get curious when we sense a gap between what we know and what we want to know, like an itch we got to scratch, a mental tension.
Like when you're reading a mystery and you just need to know who did it, or scrolling online and you can't resist clicking on a like clickbait headline.
Exactly. Our brains use curiosity to keep us engaged and wanting to know more.
You know, it reminds me of those old curiosity cabinets. People would collect all these strange and fascinating objects from around the world. There's something just so interesting about seeing things that, you know, challenge what we thought we knew.
Great analogy.
Yeah.
And that brings us to epistemic curiosity. That's basically about wanting knowledge just for the sake of knowing. That need to understand the world around us, even if it doesn't like have a practical use.
So not just for solving problems, it's more like expanding our minds.
Exactly. Then there's also perceptual curiosity. That's more about wanting new sensory experiences, you know? New sights, sounds, tastes. It's what makes us try new foods, travel to new places, listen to different music.
So it's like our brains want both knowledge and new experiences. Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But so how does all of this connect to learning?
Well, studies show that curiosity is like a learning superpower. When we're curious about something, we pay more attention, remember things better, and we even look for more information.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We all know it's easier to learn when we actually care about the subject. But are there studies, you know, actual research on this?
Absolutely. For instance, there was this study, Kang et al. In 2009, they found that if people were curious about the answer to a trivia question, they not only remembered the answer better, but also other random information they saw at the same time.
So being curious helps us learn not just the one thing we were curious about, but also other stuff. That's amazing.
It is. And think about it from like an evolutionary angle. Our ancestors, if they remembered stuff they were curious about, they'd survive better, right?
Yeah, definitely an advantage. But what about babies, little kids? They're like learning machines. Is curiosity at play there?
Definitely. Researchers like Udair and Smith, they've studied how babies learn. Turns out, babies are drawn to things that are new and challenging, but not too much. They call it optimal discrepancy.
So not too easy, not too hard, just right to keep their little brains working.
Exactly. If it's too familiar, they're bored. Too complex, they're overwhelmed. But right in that sweet spot, their curiosity ticks in and they want to know more.
Like tiny scientists testing out how the world works.
Exactly. And this self-driven learning powered by curiosity, it's super powerful. That's how babies learn so fast.
So it's not just a personality quirk. It's like a key part of how we learn and grow.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, what else does curiosity affect? Our personalities, our relationships?
Those are great questions, and researchers are looking into that. We're starting to find some really interesting connections between curiosity and self-esteem, social skills. even how we deal with stress and tough situations.
Okay, now I'm really curious. We got to dig into those connections next.
For sure. We'll look at how curiosity can make us more confident, resilient, and better at connecting with people. And we'll talk about that complex link between curiosity and trauma and how rekindling that spark can be part of healing.
This deep dive just keeps getting deeper. Can't wait.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I want to go back to those brain regions we were talking about, the
Okay.
ones that light up when we're curious. The caudate nucleus and the inferior frontal gyrus. Remember those?
Oh, yeah, those are like the reward centers, right? The ones that give us that dopamine hit when we learn new stuff.
Exactly. And it turns out that reward, it's not just about feeling good, it's also tied to like motivation. The
Mhm.
more those areas are active, the more we actually want to learn and seek out information.
So it's like curiosity itself is a motivator. We don't just learn better when we're curious, but curiosity actually makes us want to learn in the first place.
Yeah, it's a cycle, right? Curiosity makes us learn, learning triggers those reward centers, and then we're even more curious.
It makes me think of how some kids are just naturally curious, like little sponges soaking up everything, while others need a bit more um, encouragement. Could that be because their brains react differently to new information?
That's a really interesting question. Researchers are still figuring that out, but there's definitely evidence that some people just have more baseline curiosity, maybe from their genes or early experiences.
Nature and nurture, eh?
Yeah.
I'm also curious about how this all plays out, like outside of school and textbooks. Does being curious affect our social lives, our
Mhm.
relationships, how happy we are?
Big time. There's a ton of research showing that curiosity is linked to a lot of good things, from better friendships to being able to handle your emotions better.
Wait, are you saying that being curious can actually make you a better friend or partner? Even like a better therapist? How does that work?
Well, think about it. Curious people are naturally more open, right? Open to new experiences, different points of view. They're less likely to judge others and more likely to come into like social situations wanting to learn and really understand people.
So instead of walking into a party and feeling awkward, they're excited to meet new people, hear their stories.
Right. And that openness, not judging, it can make you more approachable. People are drawn to that.
I can see that. It's like curiosity helps you connect with people.
Yeah, studies have shown that people who score high on curiosity tests, they tend to have more friends, feel more connected, even have better relationships.
That's pretty cool. Maybe we should all try to be more curious in how we interact with people.
I think so. By, asking questions, actually listening to people, being genuinely interested, we can build better relationships and also learn so much more about the world.
It's like that saying, to be interesting, be interested.
Yeah.
But it's more than just seeming interesting. It's about actually engaging with the world and the people in it.
Exactly. And that engagement, it can really boost your well-being. Curiosity has been linked to being more resilient, having better coping skills, even finding more meaning in life.
Whoa, hold on. You're saying curiosity can help us through tough times? That doesn't seem right. Wouldn't constantly thinking about what we don't know make us more anxious?
It might seem like that, but the research shows the opposite. When we're curious, we tend to approach problems with more openness. We want to learn from our experiences. Instead of shutting down or freaking out, we engage with the problem, looking for solutions.
So curiosity shifts our mindset from fear to problem solving.
Exactly. And that can be really powerful. It helps us feel more in control, even when things are rough. It's like saying, no matter what, I'm going to learn and grow from this.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. But what about people who've been through trauma? Can curiosity be part of their healing?
That's a really tricky one. Trauma is complex. For some survivors, curiosity can feel scary. Like the world's too unpredictable, too overwhelming to explore openly.
So the curiosity has been, like, dampened. Maybe to protect themselves from more pain?
Yeah, it's important to remember that trauma can really impact our ability to connect with the world, including our curiosity.
So how do we help people reconnect with that sense of wonder?
Well, healing is different for everyone. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. But often, rekindling curiosity can be a big part of the journey.
So it's not about forcing it, but creating a safe space for them to explore at their own pace.
Exactly. Trauma therapy focuses on building trust, safety, helping people feel more empowered. And as that happens, curiosity can sometimes come back.
It's almost like a sign of healing, right? A willingness to, like, step back into the world and embrace the unknown.
I like that. The link between trauma and curiosity is complicated, but more and more research suggests that encouraging curiosity can build resilience, promote healing, and help people take back their lives.
This has been so insightful. We've seen how curiosity helps us learn, connect with people, stay mentally healthy, even heal from trauma. But is there a downside? Could curiosity ever be, like, a bad thing?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll dig into in our last segment. We'll look at what happens when curiosity goes unchecked, the ethics of wanting to know everything, and how to balance our thirst for knowledge with respect, empathy, and responsibility.
All right, so we've seen how awesome curiosity is, but like anything powerful, I guess there's got to be a downside, right?
Yeah.
When does curiosity maybe not work in our favor?
That's a really good point. We always talk about curiosity as a good thing. But like you said, it's powerful. And any tool, even a good one, can be misused. It can backfire.
So like a dark side to curiosity, what would that look like?
Well, sometimes when we're too curious, it can make us reckless, even dangerous. Think about like extreme sports or those people who do crazy stunts. There's often a thrill-seeking element there, and that's fueled by curiosity, pushing the limits.
Yeah, curiosity killed the cat, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason that saying exists.
Exactly. Curiosity can lead us into trouble, sometimes even dangerous situations, and not just physical danger. It can lead to social problems, emotional issues too.
Like nosing into someone's personal life when they don't want you to, or getting obsessed with a conspiracy theory and losing touch with, like, reality.
Exactly. So we need to balance curiosity with other things like respect, empathy, knowing when to back off.
So it's not just what we're curious about, it's how we go about it. Are there, like, any rules of thumb, ethical things to keep in mind?
Absolutely. The most important thing is boundaries, our own boundaries and other people's. Curiosity shouldn't ever hurt someone else, violate their privacy, or put them at risk.
Makes sense. It's different to ask someone a genuine question about their work versus, like, snooping through their stuff.
Right. And we also need to be aware of how our questions might affect other people. Even if we mean well, sometimes our curiosity can be hurtful, especially with sensitive topics or cultural differences.
So be curious, but be considerate too. Balance our desire to learn with treating people right.
Exactly. And this is even more important in the digital age, you know. Information's everywhere, the lines are blurry.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. It's so easy to Google anyone, look at their social media, even find personal information online. But just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Exactly. The internet is amazing for learning and exploring, but it's also a minefield. We need to be careful, think ethically.
So think about what we're curious about, how we get that information, and what we do with it.
Right. Curiosity is powerful, but we have to use it responsibly.
This has been amazing. We've seen how curiosity can make us better learners, build stronger relationships, help us mentally, and even heal from trauma. But we've also learned that there are downsides, and we need to be thoughtful, respectful.
I agree. Curiosity is part of what makes us human, helps us grow and understand the world. But like anything powerful, it needs to be guided by wisdom and compassion.
So as we wrap this up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to really think about?
Stay curious. Let it fuel your discoveries and your connections. But remember to balance it with respect, empathy, and critical thinking. Ask yourself, what am I curious about? Why? And how can I explore that in a way that's both fulfilling and ethical?
Those are some great questions for all of us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into curiosity.